3D printing is going to fundamentally change how e-commerce works over the next few years. In this video, we're going to talk about why that is and some of the fundamental advantages that 3D printing is bringing in to overall distribution and product creation inside of the e-commerce space. So today, if you are creating a product or you are about to launch an e-commerce brand or a print-on-demand Shopify store, maybe an Etsy store, traditionally what you would do is you would go find a t-shirt or a mug, maybe you drop ship something, or if you have a really big budget, you can actually design something and have it manufactured. The problem with that manufacturing process is that then you ship thousands of those items, probably from overseas, and then you store them into warehouses, where when an order comes in on Amazon, well, you go ahead and pluck that part and then it ships out. This is a really laborious process, but it's not really necessary anymore. Here at Slant 3D, we run an e-commerce brand called Angled.io. And at Angled, what we've been doing is trying to demonstrate how to do e-commerce with print farms and at scale. There's a number of things and advantages that 3D printing gives to e-commerce brands that have never been possible before. One of the very first is the fact that you are able to A/B test products, just the way you used to A/B test a website page. For those of you who aren't really familiar, in the olden days, when you created a new website, you would create one version of the site for a few users and another version of the site for other users. You'd see how people interacted, and whichever one performed the best, that's the one you used. Today in e-commerce, that's done with product photos. So one product photo will get more people to convert than another one might. But now you don't have to just change the marketing and the content around the item in order to optimize conversion. You can actually change the item itself. You can take something fundamental like maybe the pattern on the side of a cup holder or something, or a beer koozie, and then you can see how people react to that pattern, then change it and see how they react to the new pattern, do an A/B test, and then optimize from there. And since it costs nothing, you're not recutting the molds in order to make these changes, your product is actually able to dynamically evolve over time based on how people respond to it and how well it sells, so that you can optimize towards the best selling product. The other advantage is, of course, that since you never are really actually holding inventory, each product can be produced on demand, you no longer have those long lead times of 3 months to get your molded parts overseas to wherever your warehouse is. But you also don't have the warehouse and the cost of that itself either. You're instead able to create the variations of your products that you are A/B testing, maybe be able to sell them through just the renders alone, and then when an order is made, it's sent to the print farm materializes it out of thin air, throws it in a box, and ships it out the door. We do that today, right now. And again, what we demonstrate with Angled, it helps a bunch of YouTubers with their merchandise, and it helps a bunch of e-commerce sellers and designers who are creating awesome products get their products into the hands of people who don't necessarily own a 3D printer. But then this goes even further. Now you are based in a particular country and you're creating a product. Since you were having to ship product all over the world, you had to deal with all the challenges that entails, both importing products and moving them around. Now, as print farms continue to become more standardized and larger scale, you will be able to basically teleport a product into wherever the customer is. Not just being close to within the city, but being able to bypass all of the shipping constraints of moving from one country to a next. I could be located in the Americas and sell an item inside of Europe without ever having to import any sort of items and mess with all the shipping challenges that entails. And that takes it even one step further. All those three advantages are big for e-commerce brands just as is. But the very fact that you're able to have a product appear where the customer is without having to have 5 products in every warehouse all over the place and then gauge distribution and demand over time, you can instead be perfectly reactive to whatever people want. And lastly, as AI-generated 3D models get further and further, you won't even have to create the products yourself. It will be possible to basically create an infinity store where any person can just go in, search in the item that they want. The AI generates the model and the design in the background. And then when they say buy now, that model is sent to a print farm that can then produce the item, ship it out the door. And it can be a product for one single individual that had never existed before and may never exist again, but will always be present on your store. These are just a few of the things that are currently being done with 3D printing and where it's going to be able to go as more print farms like the Slant 3D Mega Farm continue to grow and expand and cover more area. Print farms are a back end for manufacturing, and they're basically a warehouse where the shelves make the product. Have a great day, everybody.